Okay, it is 9:49 a.m. and I had one trade with AMAM, and this one can continue to work out, but I sold into the wick because I don't like when the stock does a wick. It makes me kind of worry that it won't be able to hold itself near the highs, or maybe if it makes a wick, it will also sell off just as quickly. I still haven't reached my goal of being a part of a halt profitably, but there was a chance it could have actually have halted right here, I think. I did buy 40 shares at 395 at 947, right when it was starting to look like it was going to break above this range right here after holding VWAP, and it looked like a bit of a bull flag setup. So not just a dip towards VWAP, but it was also a bull flag, and it didn't really break under it. It was just holding around the VWAP level. Again, that was at 947 right here at 394. So right here is when I got in with that in mind. And then I thought, if it breaks the low, which is 392, I'll just get out of it. Too bad. But the ideal move would be for it to get to the day high and maybe break above it, which it's done here, but hasn't done anything too crazy. I did sell in pieces on the way up. 948 when it started to have this wiki candle. I did sell some before it did the wick at $4 right here. And then I sold more. Actually, I sold everything at 948. And then I sold more at 408. And then I sold some at 413. And then I sold the rest at 416 and a half. And yeah, I just sold it because it was a wick. If it was something gradual, I would have been more interested in holding on to it for a longer period of time. In fact, it's still holding this trend line for the most part. Yeah, if I still had any shares left, I would have had in mind a sell if it opens past this uptrending trend line at any point. I was also looking at IBIO. Yeah, this one didn't really work out as well as AMAM. Here's an example of one that failed. AMAM had a nice, excuse me, a much nicer spike, and this one wasn't as nice. Ugly sell-off candle. Doesn't look like a bull flag either. This one, it kind of worked out. I mean, it didn't just, trade around here and sell off. It did do this uptrend first, but yeah, this one was a lot better. I'll make an update later as to what this one does. In theory, I could still have like maybe 10 shares and, sell that again only if it breaks past the uptrending trend line and like actually opens a candle there. I'll make an update later. Okay, I've been trying to fix an issue where the video just looks super yellow, but you can see right here it did officially right here break the trend line. It did open under the trend line, and this one for sure opened past the uptrending trend line, so it would have been a sell. That's crazy. My best sell was 416 and a half, and it's in the 440. So yeah, definitely didn't like the wick right here because it made me think if it's going to uptrend that quickly and then sell all the way back down, it might even continue to sell off, but it didn't. It actually held on to this trend line, and yeah, imagine a sell on the 440s. That could have actually been realistic. I'll make an update later. I will be looking at this from maybe a head and shoulders, so maybe a shoulder. This could be the potential head, and if it sells off, finds a bottom somewhere, maybe I can buy that, and then it can be a shoulder I can sell into. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for right now. This one was up, but it doesn't look nice. Yeah, this one's selling off, and this one is also not really doing anything, but it could try to do something if it breaks this high, but nothing really nice. I'll make an update later. It is 12:31 and some time since the previous recording, and I do want to know how well AMAM worked. I think the last recording was right here when it was for the first time breaking. Yeah, it was breaking the trend line, and it actually opened, I believe, past the trend line. And what it managed to do, which I'm wondering why it doesn't show anymore, the trend line. As you can see, it kind of shows right there. I guess the chart got glitched. It was pretty impressive because it broke the uptrending trend line right here, as you can tell, and then it tried to regain itself, and this is really profitable. I've seen some of them actually be so strong that it doesn't just try to regain itself above the uptrending trend line, but it actually does it. And then it had one more dip right here, and then a final squeeze, and it's still holding near its highs very aggressively. So this was actually kind of impressive. I'm guessing it just squeezed a lot of shorts, or they just have some absolutely amazing news. Again, my best sell being at 460. Yeah, that's part of the thing, I guess, where, it's really helpful to use trend lines, and I would have had a sell right here, but there was even more opportunity on top of that. So that's pretty cool. There hasn't really been anything else that I've been interested in. Nothing too nice, although this one was kind of cool the way it managed to hold itself above VWAP, and then it became very bullish, but nothing really too nice. Sure, it had a dip towards VWAP here, but that's not really something I was too interested in. It was just mainly this setup right here. I left a lot of money on the table. I'll keep looking, but not as much anymore, and I'll make an update later, if not when the market is closed. It is 10:51 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be up on the day $6.41, a 4% gain, and this was just that one trade with AMAM that really worked out. The only thing I could have done better, which I went over, was that I should have waited for the trend line to break, which in this case it held for a pretty long time, and it didn't just hold it for a long time, but it actually tried to regain the trend line after it broke it right around here, and it continued even more. Let's just see what it would have been if I perhaps sold and I had a better average sticking to a trend line and not selling most of my position. With that in mind, let's just see what a sell at 448 would have been. Yeah, it would have been a 13% gain. I would have made a lot more. And this is a very tiny $20 risk level trade, which I did do perfectly here. But I mean, that's the goal eventually, I guess, to try to trade a much larger position. And this one is a listed stock that had plenty of volume for something like that to happen. And yeah, and it got even higher. It got to the fives. Pretty impressive move. That was it. There wasn't anything else that I traded, nothing else that I was really interested in. Once it broke under VWAP, I was no longer interested in it. And IBIO wasn't horrible, but I liked AMAM a lot more. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't see any other setups that I could have traded. This was interesting just because it was selling off. And then it wasn't until it had like all this volume right here, where I guess somebody gave up with a lot of size, that it did a bounce. But that's not really much. The 560s to the 580s is not much. That's it for today.